As always, you guys ask enough, and I will eventually do it. I mean, it was about time that I did another CDawgVA reaction video anyway, and y'all did comment and suggest a very interesting one, actually, because this is actually a topic that I'm actually eager to learn a lot about. This is kind of an area that I don't know that much. I know some, so there's going to be a lot that I'm going to be probably very surprised by, but I don't see things being too different on a technical side, more of like on a business side, probably. But this is CDawgVAs. I became a pro anime voice actor in Japan. That's the name of the video. Link is in the description, as well as CDawgVAs, or Connor's channel. If you guys are new to my channel, I've done this a couple times. I'm a voice actor, professional character voice actor, living in Austin, Texas. I actually have wanted to take a trip to Japan, and I've wanted to know more about the industry, the voiceover industry in Japan. So I'm actually excited about this video. Not that I wasn't excited about other Connor CDawgVA videos, but I'm really excited about this one because I'm really hoping to learn something. But if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe, like, all that kind of stuff, hit the bell. And if you are not familiar with CDawgVA, go to his channel. Again, link is in the description. Subscribe as well. And here we go. Let's get into it.
Japan has long had an obsession with voice actors quite unlike any other country. Compared to countries like the US, where voice acting has seen a boom within the past 10 years, Japan has had schools specializing in voice acting since the 1940s.
Oh, interesting.
And voice acting has only grown in popularity. In Japan, it's top...
Okay, already I see something very interesting. The idea that they've had classes in voice acting. Let's go back a little bit, actually.
A boom within the past 10 years. Japan has had schools specializing in voice acting since the 1940s.
That I did not know. I knew that they had voice acting for a while. I don't think that there was voices in Japanese animation before there was voices in American animation. I don't know. That I'd have to do a deep dive. But I do know that we've had like voice actors, for a long time. The thing is like I'm certain that there were no, like classes, there were no degrees, there were no workshops early on. Back in the day, it was basically you just kind of like wung it. You were an actor and a comedian, and and they would eventually put you on a mic, kind of thing. And most of the voice acting, like Mel Blanc, was just someone who just was like, "I'll do it," and there was no credentials. There was none of that, and they just did all of it. The fact that they had actual classes in the 1940s, that surprises me. Already learning something.
Voice acting has only grown in popularity. In Japan, its top voice actors are amongst the most recognized and adored celebrities throughout the country. They're known as seiyus. As a voice actor myself, I wanted to understand how this industry works. And how does one become a top voice actor in Japan? Where I will be getting the chance to voice act in the anime adaptation of She Professed Herself Pupil of the Wise Men. Obviously not in the actual anime itself, but a fake reading that will be exactly like the
Oh, come on! Oh, I mean, I'm glad that he's getting at least this opportunity, but that's really disappointing. Oh, so close. Maybe this is like one step towards that, because I don't know how much Japanese he actually knows. I don't know. However, I have heard animes in the past where they actually did have, where it was the Japanese sub, where they actually did have American or English voices as like American or English characters. So he could still do it. It's just kind of...
Except with good people. Well, I'm in luck, because somehow I managed to convince too many people to let me in.
Whoa, I gotta see this for a second. I saw some audio, like some Audio-Technica 2020s. Oh no, this is like an hour long.
Well,
Am I gonna have to...
I'm in luck, because some...
Yeah, there's like a slew of Audio-Technica 2020s in the back. I'm guessing this is their actual class. This is the class section or the college workshop area, because Audio-Technica 2020s are rugged, they're well recognized, they're good quality, and you can buy a bunch of them, relatively inexpensively. So I would not be surprised if they would just give us a butt ton of 2020s.
Somehow, I managed to convince too many people to let me in and show me the process of becoming a voice actor in Japan. But obviously, I can't just turn up and voice in an anime. I'd need to learn how to do it by going back to a place I thought I'd put long behind me.
School. So this is something that I have heard, is that speaking Japanese, regular Japanese, and the way Japanese is pronounced and said in anime is actually different. So there is actually there is a specific performance art. I'm assuming that it's something along the lines of how people learn Shakespeare here. I would assume that's something, because there's kind of this kind of well-known Shakespearean performance style that people recognize, and you actually go to school to in college, like Juilliard, to actually learn a more proper, traditional kind of performance for stage and stuff like that. So maybe it's something similar?
So I begin this voice acting journey in one of Japan's top voice acting agencies. Right behind me is a voice acting training facility. If you want to be a voice actor in Japan, you want to voice in the anime, this is where you go. And because later on in the video, I'm going to be voice acting an anime myself, I desperately need some training. So I'm going to quickly get a crash course on everything voice acting in Japan. So,
wow.
Wish me luck. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu. This is Production Ace, a voice acting training facility. In Japan, if you want to be...
I really wish there were voice acting training facilities in America. I mean, there are tons of classes, but it's not like you don't get a degree. You might get a certificate that's basically signed by the industry professional who taught the class, but it's not really the same. It's an interesting concept that I think we could, would be a good idea, because we have you can actually get an acting and performance art degree. You can get, that kind of stuff, but not someone's having a shower.
Voice actor, you have to go to voice acting school. And after you've completed
but not
voice acting school, you can go to a voice acting training facility. These training facilities are the places where you're most likely to be scouted by talent agencies. Because the training facility isn't just
it's a weird symbol.
Voice actors who have been working in the industry for years will still go to a training facility to make sure they keep improving. So I wanted to know what the differences were. This video is sponsored by Bookwalker. If you didn't know, in this video we feature the title She Professed Herself Pupil of the Wise Men. And to celebrate that, Bookwalker is holding a cross-dressing and gender bent approach.
Probably going to skip this part because I'm not sponsored by Bookwalker.
まず発声滑舌の基本をやって演技も基本からやる形になります。我々プロダクションの養成所というのはさらに実践的なレッスンをすることになります。養成女性からでもプロにデビューする可能性もありますんで、いつもオーディションをやってるぐらい厳しいレッスンをしてもらいます。
You're the boss. You know everything about it.
So I'm actually wondering how much Connor is actually following and how much is a translator just off camera. But yeah, sounds. I mean, everything that he said sounds awesome.
So what are we going to be doing today?
今日はまずその発声滑舌のレッスンとそれとナレーションを少しお芝居の台本を少しやっていただいて、その後アニメのアフレコのレッスンをやって。
This is one of the reasons that I actually don't like watching the subs of animes, and I know there's a lot of. If you like the sub, watch a sub. I'm a dub kind of guy because I'm just watching the bottom part of the screen. There's like 99% of the screen I'm not even looking at. All I'm looking at is text. I don't like that.
That's a lot. Could I have a tour of the place? I'd love to see what facilities you guys have here.
はい、いいですよ。OK。
First off on our tour was the voice sampling booth. This room is where you might record your voice acting demo. Voice acting demo, by the way, to those who don't know, is just a kind of showcase of the different kind of voices and the different kind of emotions you can show off. It's creepy. It's so quiet in here. You can't hear anything. It's really
good.
Weird. It's so cool though.
Finally, in a proper voiceover studio. That's just, picking a little fun because I know I've kind of razzed a lot of his other videos for, I don't know, not being properly set up for what he's needing. But this one is really, really, it's nice. I can tell that the windows are thick. It looks like it's 3 layers. It looks like there's a layer of probably glass, and then there's another layer that's kind of like at an angle, and then there's probably another layer. This is to, prevent sound from coming in and coming out through the vibration of the glass. I assume maybe it's just the 1 layer, maybe it's just 2 layers. I don't know, but that's what it looks like. And then above him we have something that I've always been interested by, and it's these, basically they're wood rods that or planks that are then glued together, and they're different sizes and different angles and cut together. And because it's wood, it's very dense. You're not going to get anything coming through it if you were to basically cover an entire wall with it. But then at the same time, because they're different shapes, different depths, and different angles, it's acting like acoustic foam. So it's just something that's always been very interesting to me. I've never really been in a studio that had it, but also it's hanging over his head. I hope it's not heavy and hope it doesn't fall.
Then
you get to watch me while I'm doing it. Okay, cool. Let's go check out the mixing room. This is so big. Wow. So how many mics would you have in here at once then, if you're using all of them?
You can probably do 6.
2本くらいですね。
Only 2?
行くんだけど、通常2本。
Wow, there's just so much stuff. It's kind of overwhelming. So would there be a lot of people in here as well, watching the performance, giving their opinion?
そうですね。
Maybe there's more layers of the glass to that? Or maybe it's just 2 that do this. I don't know, but it's interesting. It's an interesting lineup.
今日は僕一人なんで、僕がここでオペレートしながらディレクションします。
It's like an actual casting couch. I think there's more floors, right? Is there much difference between the floors? As you can see, the August Japanese summer is destroying me.
ここが5階で、
Japan gets hot.
で、7階にも2スタジオあります。あと8階に、さらに2スタジオ。で、レイアウトはほとんど同じで、入ってる機材も同じようなもの。
I'm also really eager to know, what is the flow like from somebody joining the training facility to then becoming part of the production agency?
まあ1年間かけて先ほど言ったような
That depends.
とかナレーションとかあとはフレコとかそういったレッスンを1年間かけてカリキュラムを組みます。そのカリキュラム、年間のカリキュラムをやっていただき
I've always wondered, because in America, taking Japanese animation, that's anime. What is the name for American animation in Japan that they dub over? What do they call that? There's got to be a name for it, right? There's got to be.
ながら10月と3月に、10月は中間査定というのがあって3月は期末査定というのがあって
Assuming that's
年に2回
about a year. Less than a year.
合格したら所属になったりとかします。
And so we made our way up to the next floor to see what else this mysterious place had to offer. Wow. This room was really, really hot, by the way.
ここはズームレッスンとあと
Why?
向こうには普通のレッスンルームがあります。
ズームレッスンは新しいですか？
そうですね。
Why would
最近ズームレッスンできるように
so someone, I know there's someone in the comment section, this is why I'm asking. I've known for a while that there's kind of a difference because in America we have like a lot of like central AC, or we have like AC for the entire house. We have big AC units. Some other countries, I don't know which ones, don't have that, and it's more like localized room-based AC, or they don't have AC at all. If anyone can tell me the reason for that, that'd be interesting. Interesting to know, because I've seen that a lot, and I don't know. It's always bugged me.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, is that not available?
Wow.
Or is it like dentists in America versus dentists in Great Britain?
Very strange. It makes it like a hostage video. You know what I mean? In some aspects.
Wow. Okay.
And so they would be giving their audition, or they'd be giving takes through the monitor, and then you just give them feedback like any normal session?
そうそんな感じ。 あとはここで
Okay.
Yeah, get the branding in case they forget where they are.
I like that he's a very like eager host. Like he's eager to share this. Because it would have been very awkward if it was like, you know, this was kind of like, you know, all right, we need to hurry, we need to move this along. I'm glad everybody's having fun.
Let's go in. I want to see what's inside. I mean, this is a lot of space. How many people would you have in here at one time?
20人ぐらいは
And everyone gets their own microphone, or they take it in turns using?
スタンドマイクは4本立てて
So is this similar to all the other studios, or is this one special?
20.
ほとんど同じセリフの練習したりとかアフレコ
Yeah, it's only $2,000. Assuming they didn't get like a big like deal. Yeah, 2,000 USD for those mics. It's not bad.
Yeah, it's kind
That
of like a dance
is
studio,
not
right?
even
Like,
one
kind of just with
U87.
microphones. It's really, really hot today. Is that a problem when you're using the microphones? If you have to turn the AC on full, or do you just leave it off? How do you deal with it? when it's
Make them
so hot
suffer.
today?
Make them suffer. They need to get used to being in a room with no AC and melting. They need to just get used to it. I joke, but partially only.
いや普通にエアコンつけてますよ。うん。
Just not for you. Just not for you.
I think I'd die if we couldn't use it.
サウナになっちゃう。
I also asked Murakami-san what is the typical age range of students that come here, and he kindly informed me that it's mainly people in their 20s with a mixture of some people in high school and some in their late 30s, but they actually also
Yeah.
have a special division in their training schools that focus on teaching children. So in Japan, even the youngest
Oh.
kids are being trained to be voice actors. Wow, so they really do sometimes start
Nice.
young with the voice acting journey.
I mean, we do have acting classes for very young children in America. I mean, it's not that weird, especially if they're treating voice acting like we treat acting. I mean, when I was in Louisiana, I think around the ages of like 9 to 12, I went to Center Stage acting class, which is like this big warehouse workshop. It was like a 1-year acting school. I enjoyed it. And then they had like a whole bunch of stuff for like younger kids as well. You know,
Really?
doesn't surprise me.
Basically, I don't know anything. Do you have any pieces of advice for me before I go and attempt this class?
失敗してもkeep smile で
Keep smile. All right, I got that down.
失敗を
The mouse out of the way.
Thank you so much for showing me around. I'm really excited to get stuck into the class.
はい頑張ってください。
Hi, arigatou gozaimasu. Let's go. With my tour of the facility successfully completed, the sudden realization that I was going to have to voice act alongside a professional anime voice actress in Japanese.
How can you hear
was
them?
me. And needless to say, I was
Plastic and the mouth thing? Like, and the mask? Both? Feels a bit much. Hope they're not, you know, like, I know the plastic shield doesn't actually affect, like, intake, like getting enough air, but, like,
not prepared.
are you actually going to be able to hear them?
Get some sorely needed voice acting lessons in.
You're able to hear them?
And try not to embarrass myself too much.
Hey, it's Connor. You all know Connor, right?
恥ずかしいね。コナです。YouTuber です。僕の日本語ゴミです。楽しみ行きましょう。
I would have absolutely loved if the editor put like just made up shit in the subtitles. That would have been so funny. All right, here we go.
As I rudely barged into the class, I totally forgot that I needed a script to act. So we had to find that, where the very kind teacher kindly informed me of what we were reading and what we were going to be voice acting today. In this particular voice acting training facility, there is a curriculum. Stuff that you have to learn if you want to become a pro voice actor.
That's really good. Main course, make your basic skills more authentic. Make your basic skills more authentic. It's a weird way of wording that, but all right. I think I know what they're trying to say. Improve your acting. Develop the ability to apply various situations. This is incredibly vague. Particularly dubbing. I mean, yeah. I like that they have actually broken it down. You know, I like that, but I'm not entirely sure what this is actually for.
Basically making sure that you pronounce the words correctly, which in Japanese is quite difficult for me. There's post-recording practice, aka dubbing. There's scripted acting. Think something more akin to stage plays. And there's narration lesson. Basically what I'm doing now for this video. There's vocal performance and singing practice, something that I scarcely ever do, and sadly we weren't able to do for this video. And recording, which is where you record your demo reel and where you learn to voice act in a professional environment.
I hope the demo reel is basically their final exam. I hope that's what it is. Because that'd be perfect. Once the teacher thinks that you're ready, you do that, just basically your final exam. That's kind of like, that's, you know, and if you did it, I actually also would like it if, maybe they are, but I would love if they were more involved in more than just the acting. I think it's incredibly beneficial when people in any kind of talent-based field are very well acquainted, are familiarized with a lot of different areas, with the writing of demos and copy, with the production side, mixing, mastering, the tools that are used. Even if someone doesn't actually go into those areas, it helps people out a lot. For example, when actors are, know the different areas of production. Like, for example, if they know what a lavalier is and why it's needed, they're not going to be looking at you weird when you're like, I need to attach this to you. They're like, what is that? And they're more accommodating and they're ready to have it, pinned or taped to them or however it is. Or when they know that they need a different lens for a different thing, they know to be patient, all this kind of stuff. It'd just be really, really nice for a voice acting class.
Every single subject has its own teacher, but for this video specifically, we only have one teacher for all of the subjects, and we're giving you a bit of a crash course.
Really?
And our teacher for today is
Poor man.
Shirakawa, who is a currently working voice actor who has been in some shows or games you might recognize.
Okay. I love that and this is just a general thing. So sorry. I love that it is someone who's actually working in the craft. I hate classes, courses, and schools that are basically, the teachers are just teachers. They have no other function. They have no practical skill in that thing. I appreciate that very much. Not saying that you can't learn something from someone who is basically just trained in that thing, but when someone has practical applied skill, when they have experience with it, when they have years, that's way more beneficial. They have more confidence when they're teaching. Okay, all right, you already lost me. How can you possibly learn anything like this? I would have done them one at a time. I wouldn't have done just a cacophony. What? Why? Why? You can't hear shit. How could you possibly know who's doing a good job? It's not like the Pledge of Allegiance, which we don't do anymore. It's just like, it's just going to sound like not. What I would have done is I would have had a script for each, like enough characters per person that's there, per kid. Maybe have like a very large script in each one of them. If it's a smaller group, some of them get multiple. And then do them one at a time. That way you can accurately judge and gauge people, because I have sample scripts that I give to people when I coach, and it's got a wide range of emotions. It's got a wide range of kinds of characters. I need to add to it because there are some areas where I would like to kind of push people, but that's how I do it, and I have them record those for me, and that gives me an idea of where they are, and then we can specifically home in. But this, I don't know. It's just different.
As we begin going through the vocal exercises, I was a little lost, and the teacher came over to me and kindly let me know that I'm supposed to read the bit that's highlighted very, very brightly on my paper and that anyone would be able to see. Going great so far.
どうしますコナさん先に自分でやってついていくようにみんなで後で読むっていうパターンで今やってたんですけど急にコナさんこれお願いしてできそうですか難しいね
Okay, I'll try my best.
はいじゃあ1番ですね
一番
ここからはい行きましょうせーのはい
This is a classic tongue twister in Japanese, and I don't speak very good Japanese, so you can
Oh!
imagine what this is.
向こうの棚のなった豆は似たなためかなめなためか
はいじゃあみんなでどうぞ
Okay, even though it's not a script and these are just tongue twisters, these are like warm-ups, these are exercises, it's still, I still would have had them each do it like one at a time. Because like maybe the dude in the back just go, blah, 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 you know, like in choir or in church or whatever. Where it's like singing the hymns, you don't know the words, you're just moving your mouth. I don't know. How would you know? Also, you can't see their mouths or lips. You can hardly hear them through the shield. I don't know.
早いね
そうペース的にはこういう後からやったこのぐらいのペースの方がいいんですがちょっと今回じゃあコナーさんの聞いたペースに合わせたペースでこっちも返す感じにしましょうか、その感じにしましょうじゃあ2行きましょう
Please go slower. That is the kindest way I've ever seen anybody ask people to try less so that I look better.
まごまごした後もぐもぐいってすごすごと退散
You did, okay, you didn't do bad.
父とつつがすれていたのでてててと走って立て直した
I'm dying inside. This is fine.
の総選の
I don't think he's doing bad.
世相の逆さまで粗品総集装飾
And- There's a part of me that sounds really creepy.
That's a terrible joke. I'm sorry.
So for this part of the class, I was simply to just repeat everything that the other students were also reading.
はい
アビニョン黒マック
As you can see, it's going amazingly. Luckily for me, Japanese tongue twisters are not a daily occurrence. And after that performance, I don't think they will be anytime soon.
Okay, I personally have never been a fan of the traditional warm-ups. Personally, I don't feel, especially when it comes to voiceover, doing things like tongue twisters beforehand or that kind of thing. Personally, I've never found them to be incredibly helpful or to actually make a difference. Now, in the case of acting, especially when it comes to a school, now, part of the thing I think is actually happening here, having now watched a good chunk of it and seeing Connor's reaction, it might actually be more of just getting comfortable reading out loud. And getting comfortable being in front of other people reading out loud, reading words that aren't yours in front of other people. Even though you are going to be, if you're like me and you're at a booth all by yourself, you do everything by yourself, you still want to get comfortable with reading out loud, as if there are people here, as if there are a bunch of people watching you. Now, I'm from stage acting, doing comedy for a long time, many years of acting experience. So I'm really, really comfortable with this kind of thing. But even when I first got into, after all the years of doing comedy and acting, when I first got behind a microphone to record in a completely quiet space, I freaked. I paused and I just blanked and I couldn't get the words out. I think that's what this is more than anything, is this kind of getting comfortable kind of thing, kind of helping people relax and kind of loosen up more than, it's not actually going to help you do voiceover. I don't think. That's my opinion.
Next was the narration class.
コナーさんにこの ラーメンのやつちょっと読んでもらいましょうか。
Read this ramen part.
好きな気持ちを込めてやっていただければ。
Ramen. The return of ramen Connor?
ラーメンのルーツは江戸時代の外交に伴い日本に伝わってきた中国の麺料理であると。
He's actually doing way better than I thought he
そ
would.
して明治43年には東京府東京市浅草区にお先日が日本人向けの中華料理店来楽軒を開店し
Just notice the red bar at the bottom of the screen. The countdown.
This is painful
Wait.
to watch in post.
聞きやす
Okay. That is for people who've been asking me about like how do you you have dyslexia because I have dyslexia. They're like, you have dyslexia. How do you do how do you get through doing voiceover, reading and stuff like that? The first time reading anything is very much like that. It's almost exactly like that. It feels like another language. And then after a couple times, it gets more it gets easier. And I'm sure with him going through it a couple times, it would probably get easier. But he's doing great.
すい
Overall, he's doing great.
ゴミです。ごめんなさい。
優しい感じでね、いいよね。でも一回読んでもらって文章の流れみたいのが
Oh.
より分かったじゃないですか。文章のつながり。
Oh, those are just made up because of COVID.
もう少しつ
I
な
was
が
like,
った
what
感じ
acoustic function do those have?
は江戸時代の
It's just so they can take their masks off and stuff like that
ラーメンのルーツは
in front of
江戸時代の開港に伴い
the microphone.
日本に伝わってきた中国の麺料理であるとされている
Extremely easy.
みたいな感じでつながってるよ文章つながってるよっていう感じで読んでもらうともっと良くなると思うんでそれで一回ちょっと
Very casual
で
voiceover flex on him.
ラーメンのルーツは江戸時代の開港に伴い日本に伝わってきた。
I don't know how much of this I'm actually going to leave in and how much I'm going to cut. If it's just going to be a bit of the same thing over and over and over again. I do want to point out that I'm actually surprised they didn't put a foam or a wind cover or a antibacterial cloth kind of thing over the microphones if they're really worried about COVID or any kind of disease in general. Really kind of surprised. That was it. Because those things exist. It's actually one of the reasons I have this thing on. So I can take this off, clean it, dry it, put it back on. Keeps dust off, keeps me from spitting in there. It does kind of soften the high end a little bit, but better than having to clean the mic.
この投資をラーメン元年と命名している。
Looking back at this, I don't know how I managed to do this without cringing to death.
悪く言う要素がないよそれもこちらはもう日本語のエキスパートですからなかなかこう授業をやっててもこうやってみるっていうのはうまくできない
I'm so glad he's playing with him.
それができてますからそういう意味ではうまい
He's not being incredibly like it's not Connor's own Whiplash if you've seen that movie.
Next up, one of my fellow classmates was
Wait, what did he say? What did he say?
This is so difficult.
Okay.
Next up, one of my fellow classmates was about to attempt their own narration reading.
いよいよ始まりました第2リーグ決勝戦サリンガル対ベアーズ一時は怪我で登板が危ぶまれたテリー・メイスンですが手術後に地道なリハビリに耐え今日のこの試合が復活戦となります
ということでここコナーさんに呼んでもらう
怖いね。
売ろうとしてる商品は
This is really just a reprieve for every other student in that class. They're like, oh, thank God, I don't got to read it.
漫画雑誌コミックスがありますそれを売ってますので一番盛り上がるところが、ここのところになるんですここに向けてだんだん盛り上がっていくみたいになっていくといいんじゃないでしょうか
I'm gonna copy you. You did a good idea. 好きだって言ったら、はい、次は来るそうと佐野に
There's none of these videos I can't die laughing. It definitely sounds more anime.
Bye-bye. Bye. I'm going. That's good, right? Laughing's good, right?
面白かったです。
Funny indeed.
でも結構コピーできてる。
Sorry, I offended you. That didn't do you justice at all.
After that first abysmal performance, the voice
It's
acting
so
sensei
funny.
gave me some advice.
読まなかったら承知しないからなのところをちょっと偉そうな感じ。
I mean, it's going to be very, very hard for him to actually give him advice because I've heard Connor's performances. I'm a bit familiar with some of his work, especially in Dragon Ball Z Abridged. He's a voice actor. Like, he can perform, he can act, he can put it in there. You know, that sounds weird. He can he can really like put the emotion into the performance. His problem right here is just the language barrier. He is familiar with the words. He just hasn't had enough time to basically build the muscle memory with his tongue and to so familiarize himself with the Japanese characters that his brain instantaneously knows what sound to make. That's really the only thing that's holding him back. So it's going to be very, very hard for him to get any genuine, actual constructive criticism here. It's just going to be really hard to get that because I don't think it's the performance, that's actually holding him back. I think it's just the reading. Because again, this is very, very familiar. Feels very, very familiar to me.
あいつとなかするだろう。クルスとさなのにさらなる新展開。
See, that's the only reason that he's flubbing up.
海底の事情。センターからを両国業界創前の私作すっかいラプスで読まなかったら装置信者からな。月刊コミックなのは毎月20日。
It's way better. It's way better. But yeah, that is what's actually holding him back. That's actually this is one of the reasons that we're probably going to do this 2 episodes because this is getting really long. And I know I'm going to be constantly stopping, and I know people asking me why, and that is because if you want to see the full video uninterrupted, the link is in the description. Yeah, this is one of the reasons that I actually. There's some coaches and there's some classes when it comes to acting and voice acting that I can't do because of my dyslexia, and it's very hard to find a good coach that will actually work with me than try to just demand that I do better when I can't. With Connor, it's just learning the language. He's got the performance skill. I've seen it. It's just a matter of, the Japanese, which I actually think that he should genuinely put some time into learning and becoming fluent in Japanese and then actually take the class in its entirety, like in full, seriously. I actually think he should do that. Learning Japanese is something that I've wanted to do. Part of the reason is my goal is to actually help. It would help doing any kind of like translation. I want to build my own studio, and I want to actually have a dubbing company, and I would like to have the ability to bridge that gap very easily. So that's why. In Japan, like you see here, they're making lots of animation, lots of cartoons. There are a lot of animes that are made in Japan that are not being adapted because they're not very popular. Because the things, Bang Zoom, Funimation, Crunchyroll, are not able to make enough money off of it. Not that you can't make money, just the way that those particular companies are set up, that the only reason they can really, the only way they can vindicate dubbing a show is to make a lot of money. And some animes are not, even though they're popular, people like them and they would actually get views, there's no way of guaranteeing that they would get enough views to vindicate dubbing them. So there's a lot of smaller animes that are still waiting, and that's the kind of company that I would like to make, is one that can do that. So learning Japanese would be a very important skill.
Was lacking in some areas.
And I think for Connor it'd be the
Give me
same
some
thing.
valuable feedback.
ね、日本の
This is water, by the way.
普通に読めます、言葉わかりますよっていう人で、この
I
授
clean
業を
these
受
on
け
it
て
for a
ま
little
すよ
water.
っていう人と比べたらそれは差はあるんだけど、でもさっきもうまいと思いました。ちゃんと俺様になってましたね。はい。
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Next up on our crash course curriculum is the script acting. Think your traditional stage acting. You people stand and look at each other and talk emotionally. And I mustn't lie, this was the one that I was scared most of, because at least if I'm doing a narration, I'm only embarrassing myself. With script acting, there's a good chance I'm going to embarrass my partner as well. I'm sorry.
Now, if they're a really good actor, they'll be able to work with whatever you're throwing at them.
And after watching the students
Okay, you can
nail
hear
the
them.
scene,
Never
it
mind.
was my
You can hear
turn
them.
to try this emotional-filled scene.
It doesn't have to be
And of
perfectly
course,
clear.
I
They're not going
nailed
for
every
articulation.
second of it.
It's just performance.
Whatever god I have right now. 歯が抜けたんだってそれが見つからないものだから子心配してるだ
He flips between sounding like he's nervous and taking a crap.
売れないじゃなかってそう小さな声この気持ち悪かい
Could they have given him an English version?
光景だと思うドリス小さな娘が電話をよくしてパパ大好き
She's so patient. I absolutely love all these people in here.
そういう欲に上ずった
The kid in the back going, uh-huh, yeah.
They look it so hard right now.
君は両親がいじかない
Oh,
ね
Connor.
でも
Oh,
口に出
God.
したことないね
The things he suffers for all of you.
Oh god, that was so painful.
恥ずかしいごめんなさいごめんなさい Can't read. That's the verdict. I think.
いやよかった。
Can't read Japanese all that well. They could have just played it like he was like, I don't know, foreign exchange student. Or someone who just took a massive headache.
よかったです。
Thank God it's over.
And next up we had the singing lessons. And although I'm probably the person who needs the most singing lessons,
Yay!
I certainly
What?
sat this one out. But luckily for me, Yuta and Ayumi are great
I'm not
at
watching
singing,
that video.
so they
I don't-
took it away for me.
I don't know what
Singing
that
the
is.
fine
I'm not
style
watching
by
it.
Luminous
No.
Witches, an anime song from the World Witches series.
人なんかじゃない隣を見て
Why is it only in the left channel right now?
みんながいるから
After listening to that amazing performance, I'm convinced that I should never try singing, as I'll never sound that good. The final crash course class for today is the anime.
No! That's not why you don't do something. No. I was a terrible singer. And then people told me that I should never sing. So I set out to learn how to sing. It helped me in voice acting. And that's exactly why, part of why, at least I think, why they're focusing on it here, is that it actually does help you with voice acting. So a lot of the same breathing techniques when it comes to voice acting is the same when it comes to doing animation. A lot of like deep, diaphragm breathing, being able to take in enough air and not hyperventilate, knowing when to breathe. You'd be surprised how many people don't know when to breathe when it comes to performing. It's got to be natural. And also another thing is singing actually loosens up and relaxes the vocal cords. And if you're practicing singing and you're going up and down your register, that's, you're stretching out your range. That's actually stretching out your range when you're doing character voices as well. So it's incredibly beneficial. It's very much the same, which is why I like it, like that they're doing that here. It actually is very, very, very important. I'm glad that there's like an entire class dedicated to it. I would have actually liked to have seen what each one of these specific classes were like. If they're different than this, because this is just kind of like a jumble crash course and everything, I would have actually really, really liked to have seen like what specifically did they do. Maybe I'll
where I'll be
have to do a
attempting
deep dive
voice act
myself.
the scene that I'll get to actually voice act in later on in the video. A short scene from episode 2 of She Professed Herself Pupil of the Wise
I
Man.
think it's done on
Fingers crossed
paper.
I don't mess this one up.
I'm very nervous. Wish me luck. だった笑うでしょう。あのダンブルフガだよ。こんなになってるなってさ。笑なって方が無理。
That was really close. He was so close.
フレンドリストで君の名前を見つけた時は飛び上がるほど喜んだけど、その後ダンブルフのマスターキーを持って現れてんのが、そのこの趣味丸出しのロリカンって。
Don't step on other people's lines. What the hell? It's kind of confusing. I don't know what I'm looking at. This would be very hard for. I'm glad this is not. Is this dubbing? I don't know if they're dubbing here. I don't know. Because, like, part of it is, like, finished footage, part of it is unfinished footage, and I don't know what that character select, character modification screen was. It's a bit confusing. I mean, they're just running the whole thing. There's not, like, beeps, there's no markers. So, in ADR and dubbing, you break it into sections. This, they're doing the whole thing from beginning to end, like, nonstop, which is extra hard for him because he's having to focus quite hard on the words because he's like he can't just like see it as in a glance. He can't see Japanese characters in a glance and know what he's reading. He has to focus on it. If it was, he was more fluent in it, then it would just be a quick glance and he would just see it. Like the word me that on the screen. I can just my eyes can just go by and I know that's the word me. But with someone who's not comfortable with a second language, that's obviously trickier. So if it's dubbing and he's actually having to look at the screen and try to match a performance, with the first line, first scene, he did pretty good. He just needed to like cut off that last word, shorten it just a little bit, and it was really, really good. So it's very hard for me to say what's actually going on here and what they're actually learning.
ありがとうございました。
He's so confused. It's like, what?
And although my pronunciation was okay, I failed to match the lip flaps this time. So hopefully with a bit more practice for the real thing, I'll be able to nail it.
It was really close.
喋ってるセリフが一番いい流れができてて。
Following the sensei's advice, it was sadly time for me to leave this class. But remember this,
Get out.
The voice acting class of 2021 was the best, god damn it! Times that we bonded so much in a very, very
Yeah, I don't It's very hard for me to judge that because it looked like they kind of combined dubbing and, character voice acting together. Or ADR and just voice acting. Because, it was just kind of very confusing. I would be lost. I mean, maybe there's like timestamps in the script. Maybe in Japan, like when they do ADR, they just run an entire scene, which would be, a freaking nightmare. But I don't know. Very hard for me to judge. Very interesting, but hard to judge.
Window we had and we bonded so much. It was time for me to say goodbye.
I'm really sorry that I was so bad at this. I tried my best, but you guys were great. Thanks for not laughing at me too much. Yeah, thank you so much. Really, this was so fun. Thank you so much.
そんなことないです。ありがとうございました。
Yay! Get out so we can learn.
Sadly, that was all the time I had in the voice acting training facility. But I was fortunate enough to get to sit down with the teacher and a student to ask some of those important questions.
Like after class.
Thank you. That was a really fun class. I had a lot of fun there. First of all, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
プロダクションエースという日本の事務所で声優をやっております白川修作と申し
What
ま
is
す。
on his shirt?
声優として
I thought it was Mr. Beast for a second. I was like, what?
このプロダクションエースという事務所の 養成機関がありますので、そこで一応先生として教えるということも
Yeah.
やっているという状態ですね。
So how did you become interested in teaching voice actors?
教えるということが教わるということだというのをですね知ったからですね。自分が教える
This guy's a
中で
very
教えている
theatrical
生徒たちからも
way of
たくさんの
talking.
ことを同時に教えてもらえるんだなということが分かったんですね。なので、教える側に立つというのも面白いのではないかなというふうに思いました。生徒と自分とお互いこう高め合っていけるようなそういう関係でいられたらいいなと思い
Yeah,
ま
this
す。
guy talks like a
What are
teacher.
requirements for becoming a teacher in voice acting?
日本では、声優になるための
I
資
mean,
格っていうものは制度と
Probably
してない
years of experience,
講師になるための制度っていうのも
making money at it,
必
not just
要
it's just
な
not just
条
being
件
a
としては
hobby.
ですね、自分
Probably a
が
good place to start.
声優として生徒たちに教えに来たよっていうことであれば、自分が声優としてきちんと仕事をしていること、まずこれがとても大事だと思います。ちゃんと声優の仕事をしているということ、それで声優の仕事をきちんとやって、その現場の中で自分がこう経験していったもの、これをちゃんと自分の経験値として落とし込んで自分のものにして、それをですねきちんと言語化、言葉にして生徒に伝えられること、これが大事だと思います。お芝居をすることと、言葉にしてそれを伝えることっていうのは似てるんですけど、また別のことなので、それがきちんとできる、これが大事な条件だと思いますね。条件として僕が考えているのはこういう感じですね。
I wanted to know Shirakawa sensei's thoughts on why voice actors are so popular in Japan. And Shirakawa explained that because in Japan, voice actors aren't just voice actors. They do so many things and are involved in so many different types of media. From radio, music to live events, it isn't just limited to voice work. And combine that with Japan's culture of watching anime from a very young age, of course you're going to get a generation that has been inspired by its favorite characters and voices, which leads many to try and pursue their dream.
I would definitely say go one further, not one further, but just add to that. In America, it's only recently that voice actors that we actually are starting to know who voice actors are on a general basis. It was like there was the character, and that was it, and nobody really knew who did the voice. You know, maybe there was people, within the community, within the voice acting community who knew, but the majority of the audience didn't know. Nowadays, you can go online, you can find that information anywhere. You can find people's social media, all that kind of stuff. All the knowledge is there. And voice actors are starting to get more and more popular. They're becoming more than just the characters that they do. I feel like in Japan, that's how it's been for a very long time. The actors who did the characters are well known as the characters, like they're very synonymous. First off, they're at that time when it's first done, they're pretty much the only person who's done that character, and if the character is incredibly well loved, it's because of that actor, and that's part of the marketing. So if they have, there's a bunch of animes that they do. They do a lot of shows. And so part of their goal is to stand out amongst the crowd. So if they treat their actors like celebrities and they go and they do all the appearances and all this kind of stuff, then it's going to get more noticed. Nowadays, in America, even nowadays, pretty much we only do that when it comes to like marketing animation with the actors is if they are celebrities. You see that with Disney, you see that with DreamWorks. The only time they actually put the voice actors up front as part of the marketing is when they just got celebrities, actors, superstars to be the characters. Rather than getting voice actors, they got actors because they're popular. Japan kind of does it the other way around.
Dream of becoming a voice actor.
So obviously I wasn't the perfect student. I think that's pretty obvious to anybody. But what do you normally look for?
You're fine.
自分自身で
For what you were given.
自分に課題を与えることができる人、自分でいろんなことに自分から挑戦できる人、これが人材として、欲しい人材なのかなというふうに思います。授業があって、今回コナーさんにも経験をしてもらいましたけど、授業の紙を渡すじゃないですか。でこう読んでもらったじゃないですか。読めてたなって思うんですけど、でも
Are Japan's outlets the same as America? I just not noticed that. They have the two-prong. Is it the same? They don't have the grounding third round one, but... Huh. Interesting.
There's no doubt that there are going to be many people watching this who wish they were in my shoes. Is there anything that you would tell the viewers who are interested in voice-acting? Any piece of advice?
I'm not going to interrupt this guy's speech. Let him look right through your soul. Hope y'all are reading along.
収録の現場を一緒にやることができたらこんなに嬉しいことはないなというふうに思っております。
Wow,
その時
he's got a
は
lot to
僕
say.
が自分自身の力も磨いていこうと思いますので、皆さんと収録の現場で会えることを楽しみにしています。
Thank you so much for your time.
I actually do not wish I was in Connor's shoes because I don't know any Japanese. So I would have just stood there, saying nothing, and then walked away.
It's been a lot of fun, and thank you for teaching me as well. I hope I wasn't too bad of a student, so thank you so much.
No, it wasn't you. It was just
And sadly,
language
that
barrier.
was all the time I had with the voice acting teacher. But I also wanted a student's perspective, and luckily for me, one of them spoke English. So I kindly asked Hikaru Tsuchiyaki if he'd be willing to answer a
Does
few
he speak better
questions.
English than he
And
speaks
luckily for me,
Japanese?
He was.
Welcome back, another interview. And we have one of the voice acting students, Tsuchi. And yeah, so you go to the school here, right?
Yes, I do.
How long have you been studying here for?
5 years?
Oh wow, that is
He does speak
is that
better
normal
English.
for a student to be here for that long?
Like 2 years study is normal. I just wanted to study more, so that's why I stay here.
Yeah. What made you want to join the school in the first place?
First of all, I was doing the drama play when I was in the university, and then my teacher said to me I should study like basic things. So that's I try to find a school that can teach me the basic things.
What aspect of
Interesting. For those who don't know, English is the #1 second language taught in Japan. Mostly just because they do so much business with us stupid Americans and Canadians and British and a lot of other people. A lot of people have to deal with us, so they're like, all right, fine. If we got to communicate with them, we'll learn English. So doesn't surprise me, but way better English than Connor speaks
voice
Japanese.
acting is your favorite? Like, what do you enjoy most about it?
It's a hard question.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
Actually, everything is fun
Yeah,
for
yeah,
me. Unlike the drama, because I don't have to be in that movie.
Yeah,
Only the voices. So
Right.
I can be anything.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like not like humans or animals or like
Yeah.
even cars.
You want to voice a car?
It
Ka-chow.
depends.
Is it normal that the students here have other jobs outside of the school? Is this just like a temporary thing, or what is the what is it normally like when you're a student here?
In the beginning, we can't earn money
Yeah,
so
yeah.
much, so we just need to get a
Yeah.
part-time job. To make
Oh,
it.
okay.
So most people are just
Gotcha.
working and hoping, trying to get the voice acting to take off and become a full-time gig.
Some people try to get the job.
Does it actually
Sounds
pay better
useful
in
for
Japan?
voice acting. Like how do you say, like Disneyland cast?
Oh, right, to get into characters and
Yeah,
perform
something
more.
like that.
Right, that makes sense.
Though I don't.
Am I allowed to ask what you do, or is that?
I teach English a little.
Oh, you do. At what age did you start voice acting?
Voice acting. 23 years old.
Right, so you were doing mainly stage and drama performances before, and then you kind of got into it from that, right? Right, yeah, that makes sense. Is there any special preparation you do?
I'm not gonna
personally
pause it.
before
Actually, you know what? I'm
voice
not
acting
gonna pause
or
it.
Going to school, is there anything you do to like psych yourself up?
Don't have too much to add.
Any kind of
There's not
preparation.
really anything I can
拙者
add
親
here.
方と申すはお立ち会いのうちにご存知のお方もござりましょうが、お江戸を立って二十里上方宗主小田原一色町をお過ぎなされた青物町の上りおいでなされれば南関橋 I do it every day, yeah.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me. Is there anything
Wow.
you want to say to the viewers?
That was really good.
Yeah, go ahead. Promo, do it.
My name is Hikaru Tsuchizaki. Just for my Twitter.
Follow him on Twitter. What are you doing? Go and follow. It's in the description. Go and press it.
Okay, it is in the description.
And after that very
Is it?
fun
I guess it is.
interview, it was time to do the final thing at the voice acting school, my demo reel. Now, I actually do have multiple English demo reels, obviously no Japanese demo reels. Before I attempted to
You also
make
don't
my
have a
own
character
Japanese
demo,
reel with great
I
difficulty,
noticed.
Haruka Asami was going to show me how it's done first.
落ち着いていられるもんですか。この中に人殺しがいるのよ。ケイトを殺した犯人が。なんて恐ろしい。
She's really good.
And might I add, absolutely
It's really good.
nailing every second
Yeah.
of it.
エルフに人魚に魔法使い？どんな魔法なんだろう。すごい、君魔法が使えるんだ。君はそういう世界から来たんだね。
So what
Holy
Haruka's
crap.
doing is just showing off the different types of voices and
Yeah.
tones that her voice can hit. If you're paying any attention at all, you'll notice that her voice is changing quite drastically between takes.
私は出て行きます。
Yeah, which is what it's supposed to do.
待っていられないわ。
They're not technically, she's not technically doing characters, I guess. The changes aren't drastic. They're more like she's portraying different personalities through tonality. And she's not doing other accents. At least I don't think. Maybe she is. I don't know. You know, she's doing an amazing job. This is something that I've noticed when people have. I've actually listened to other people's demos that aren't in English, and you can tell when it's a good performance, regardless of what language it is. And this is a prime example of that. She's doing an outstanding job. Yeah, it's gonna be a killer demo. I can already tell.
はい、OK いただきました。
ありがとうございます。
It's very funny hearing them go from like shouting to like, ah.
Typically, when you record a demo reel, you're the one who writes the script. You
Pro
should know
Tools? I
your
think
own
it's Pro
strengths
Tools.
the best, and you should know what type of sentences and
That's
what
a
types
face.
of voices can show your abilities off the best. Unfortunately for me, I don't speak very good Japanese, as you can tell. So I've had my boss Maylene write the scripts for me, and throughout this whole recording process, I had zero idea
Your
what I was
boss?
saying out loud.
Your manager?
Oh my god.
I'm ready. We're ready. Director, told us we're ready.
I should say something insulting. You can't.
Yes, you should.
It's mainly making fun of me.
You're so lame. Honestly, you're so lame.
じゃあいいですか。取ってきますね。
I won't lie, I'm nervous, I'm sweating. I don't want to do this, but I gotta give it my best shot. Wish me luck.
Come on, dude.
I'm just here to put my mouth on the mic. That's what I'm here to do.
Is it still in Japanese? Okay, so if it's still in Japanese, and he's not quite sure what it is he's reading, they probably should have put some notes on the paper for like some inflection notes, whether it's an arrow pointing up for like, you know, raising energy or raising, volume. They should probably do something like that for him to give him a little bit more to work with, because the structure of Japanese and the structure of English is very different. So it's not just being able to read it. If he doesn't know what the context or what the character he's supposed to be, that's an extra level of difficulty.
They're trolling me. It's already stressful enough having them do this.
Are you kidding me? They're
Now I gotta
absolutely
deal with
trolling
my
you.
Staff trolling me.
In voice acting, there's a concept known as line reading. If you're really struggling with some voice lines in particular, the director or somebody else there will actually voice out the line as intended for you, so you can just kind of copy their performance.
Okay.
It can often be perceived as quite an amateur
Perfect.
thing to do, because if you're a professional voice actor, you shouldn't be needing help to read these lines. You should be able to understand the script and understand the emotion that you need to give,
Right.
without needing a reference to go off. But in this case, I would like to make
Okay, it
an
doesn't look
exception
like
because
wood.
I don't speak Japanese, so I kindly asked Haruka if she could read my lines for me and give me a taste of what they're supposed to sound like.
他の誰を見る必要がある。俺だけを見てるよ。
Very good.
他の誰を見る必要がある。俺だけを見てるよ。
It's too flat. Too flat.
This is difficult.
Too flat.
This is very difficult. どうでしたか？
まだ照れてる。恥
Yeah.
ずかしがってるから、
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
もっとかっこよく。
That's because I am.
他の誰を見る必要がある。俺だけを見とるよ。Millions
That was good.
Millions giggling.
That was good.
見てろよ。
That was better.
見てろよ。俺だけを見てろよ。
500 takes later, he eventually got this take.
他の誰を見る必要がある。俺だけを見てるよ。
Very nice.
ありがとう。Oh my god.
I finally got one! And once the director says that my take is good, he'll go back and listen to it just to make sure that I was actually good and that I'm not lying and that I'm terrible.
Right, before you actually move on.
残念だが君は俺には若すぎる。20年後また会いに行こうよ。I don't want to hit myself. Ah! 俺には若すぎる。
You gotta get used to hearing yourself.
20年後また会いに行こうよ。That's so bad.
I cannot listen to myself.
Get used to it. She's getting so much practice.
Very sexy sounding.
It should be.
More than one line to voice act, and all of them written by Maylene, and all of them make me look like some kind of weirdo. I'm sure the director was extremely pleased.
君のお母さんとデートすることを許してくれないか。コナーコフォルーンです。
In English demo reels, you don't really say your name at the start anymore. It's kind of an uncommon practice.
Yeah.
But in Japanese voice acting, you still say your name in your natural voice at the start of every single demo reel.
Yeah, to be okay.
It's kind of going out of fashion. It's kind of going out of style. There are some. I think it's kind of like the headshots or no headshots for voice actors kind of thing, where it's an East Coast versus West Coast thing. I think on the East Coast, it's still kind of a common thing to have your name at the beginning, or kind of your normal voice setting it up in some way. But in LA, I think it's just because they're fast paced that they're just trying to get through a lot. They don't want to waste like 3 seconds of hearing your normal voice and your name. But it's interesting they still do that here in Japan.
Hey, yeah.
The director explained that obviously I'm not very fluent in Japanese, but overall I did an okay job.
めっちゃ大変、めっちゃ大変。
まず最初大事なのは失敗してもリアクションしないこと。
All right, well, I'm actually going to stop that here. Go ahead and break this into 2 parts. Also, apparently, I need to head out. I didn't know what time it was, and so I need to get going. Yeah, but we're going to come back to this. We're going to finish this in another video next week. Probably it's going to be the next video. Whatever the next video coming out is going to be, that's what's going to be. So, anyway, thank you guys for watching the video. If you like it, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give it a thumbs down. Totally fine. Subscribe if you're new. Bell for notifications, and leave down in the comment section below. Like to see me cover any other topics. It's going to be a Connor one. I know you're going to do that. It's fine. But that's what we're going to do. If you want more videos, leave those suggestions down in the comment section. If enough people say the same thing, or if it gets a lot of upvotes, then I'll probably do it. I don't make promises, but I'll try. So, yeah, keep an eye out for the next video, part 2 of this, because I'm actually eager to find out what happens next. And, yeah, catch you later. Peace.